All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to be digital detectives. We're taking what looks like a totally normal website for a hardware store, and we're going to uncover a story that's hiding in plain sight. It's a fun one. And this right here, this is our smoking gun, a quote pulled directly from their site. Okay, garden cleanups, yep, makes sense. DIY projects, for sure, but wait, festival gear hauling? Why on earth is a hardware store talking about music festivals? This one little phrase is our entry point into a much bigger story.
So every investigation needs a crime scene, or in our case, a primary source. And this is it, the homepage for a store called Hardware Heaven. Think of it as their digital front door, and it's built to welcome a very specific kind of person inside.
Okay, first things first. Let's get our facts straight. The website uses euros, and it mentions its location. So we know Hardware Heaven is a real brick-and-mortar store in Kildare, Ireland. This is key. They're not just some faceless online giant. They serve an actual community. So to figure out who that community is, we have to look at what they're selling. It's time to decode the digital shelves. We're going to start with the big picture stuff, their main product categories. The big question is, what's their main hustle? You know, a hardware store can sell anything from a tiny screw to a giant power generator. So what does Hardware Heaven choose to put front and center? And boom, the data gives us our first huge clue. I mean, look at that chart. Gardening isn't just a category. It's practically the whole store, with almost 1,000 different products. Paints and decorating is a healthy second. But wood moldings, it's barely even there.
So right off the bat, this tells us Hardware Heaven is not just a general store. The sheer volume of stuff points to a core customer who is seriously into their home and, especially, their garden. That's the first piece of our customer profile.
All right, now we're going to dig a little deeper. Let's look at something a bit more subtle, like how the store talks to its customers depending on the time of year. So, right there on the homepage, you've got these two lists sitting side by side, December savers and best sellers. This is so telling. It's like looking at what a customer needs right now versus what they're planning for the long haul.
And here's the proof. Under December savers, it's all about surviving the cold. A gas heater, a stove fan, an ash box for the fireplace. It's all about immediate comfort. But then look at the best sellers. Flower seeds? A wheelbarrow inner tube? People are buying for the dead of winter while already planning their garden for next spring.
This tells us something huge about the business. Hardware Heaven gets it. They know their customer isn't just thinking about today. They understand the entire rhythm of a homeowner's year, from staying warm in the winter to dreaming about flowers in the spring.
Now let's talk money. At the very low end of their best sellers, you've got these little packets of flower seeds, just €1. It's a small purchase, sure, but it's full of potential. And then, at the other end of the spectrum, a €350 petrol pressure washer. This is not an impulse buy. This is a serious piece of equipment for someone who means business. So, what's the story this price gap tells us? It shows their tent is big enough for everyone. They're talking to the person who just wants to plant a few flowers on a whim, and they're talking to the serious DIY pro who's taking on a massive project. Okay, so we've gathered our clues, what they sell, how they sell it, and for how much. Now it's time to put it all together and build a profile of the typical Hardware Heaven customer. So, who are we talking about here? Well, we know they're a dedicated gardener, a DIY decorator. Check. They're practical, getting ready for those cold Irish winters. They're self-sufficient. All of this fits perfectly. And then, we're back to this, the weird one. Are they really also a music festival fan? It just feels like an odd piece of the puzzle. Or is it? Every detective story has that one moment, the discovery of that one clue that suddenly makes everything else click into place. It's the aha moment, and we found ours, buried deep in a product description. You have to see this. It's a listing for a big, sturdy garden cart. Step 1, they call it your ultimate yard work companion. Okay, sounds about right. Step 2, it can haul almost 400 kilos. That's serious. Step 3, they list the obvious uses. Gardens, farms, construction, yep. And then, step 4, versatile use, perfect for gardens, farms, construction sites, or music festivals. There it is, in black and white. This is it. This is our aha moment.
It means the festival thing wasn't a mistake, it wasn't a typo, it was a tell. The store knows exactly who their customers are. They know that the same person who spends Saturday tiling their bathroom is also the person who needs a rugged cart to drag their tent and gear through a muddy field in the summer.
So, what's the big lesson here? Well, our little investigation shows that a website, even for something as straightforward as a hardware store, is so much more than just an online catalog.
This deep understanding even comes through in the way they talk. To sell that garden cart, they don't just list specs. They say, work smarter, not harder. Your back will thank you later. That is a company that speaks the language of its customer.
What we've really figured out is that this whole homepage is a story. It's a narrative, carefully pieced together, where every single product and every word is designed to connect with the real, messy, multifaceted life of their customer in Kildare.
And that's the real skill to take away from this, learning to see the story. To recognize that pretty much every commercial space you walk into, whether it's digital or in the real world, is telling a story built for someone. Every photo, every quirky phrase is a clue pointing to the person they're trying to reach.
And if a company can piece together such a detailed story about you just from the things they think you'll buy, it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What story is your own browser history telling about who you really are? Thanks for coming along on this little deep dive.